All right. Blessings, everybody. I got a word for those that are waiting on a kingdom spouse. I have a lot to say in this video for y'all that are waiting, like I said, to get married and, waiting for God to send, your husband or your wife. Now, like I said, when it comes to these kingdom spouses, the videos, I'm not going to be trying to do too many. I should say I'm just giving y'all the revelation that I have come to conclusion with and how this can help you in your waiting season, to give you more clarity, from God in this area of, waiting on marriage. All right, let's get into it. Now, things that are keeping believers single. Now either men or women must most times, we we want a woman or man, that's the same race, and or some ethnicity or or the same ethnicity, right? Or, someone we are to believe that our parents or our friends, going to accept. So today I'm going to expose from my experience and the revelations I have gotten when it comes to different and dating or marriage. What I've noticed what I've noticed is I believe some people that are black, white, Mexican, or Asian, etc., that they have more resistance to ever bring another race home. You know what I'm saying? Marriage wise, bringing someone home that you deem as someone worthy enough to be your husband or worthy enough to be your wife. And I see how a lot of these people just have the resistance for bringing these kind of people home to meet their parents and whatever. You know, they don't want to be looked down, by their family members. You know what I'm saying? And be judged by their family members. Want to be like a castaway. And it's like, how many of y'all really know that, right? Like, how many of y'all really truly know that and understand that? For me to be African American, you feel me? Like if I come in a house and I bring someone that's not the same race as me, if like you know what I'm saying, it's not to be obsessing over this topic, but hear what I'm saying, right? So I'm married. I got my kingdom spouse. She could be Asian, even Nigerian. You know what I'm saying? It don't matter. It don't matter. She could be Asian, white, Mexican, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm just putting it out there, right? The point being is most people they allow their parents to dictate who they talk to, who they should, view. And not only that, not many people have the courage or they don't have what it takes to even date someone that's not within the same within the same race system, because that comes with a lot. Obviously you're going to deal with discrimination. You're going to deal with, people that may agree to you, being with someone that's not the same race as you. And then you're going to have the people that's against you. And it all depends on how, far are you willing to go, for this person. Because I think that, with a lot of people, and this is what I'm trying to break right now, the mindsets of people that it just mostly be a fleshly thing, you know what I'm saying? Where in society, like if a white woman, or you feel me, like a woman of a different race, she sees like a black man, he probably got like a nice body, like, nice height or whatever, in a way where it does kind of come off being like a fetish, right? And I get it, you can hide your preference, here and there. But I'm just telling y'all based off of what I've, discerned just sitting back, you feel me, just looking and seeing for myself. And I feel like that's one of the things that a lot of people, that's stopping a lot of people from getting married, is that they so much worried about what the society is going to think about them, what they going to say about them. Even for people that's Hispanic, what they family going to think about them. White people, what they family going to think about them. What society going to think about them. And I don't. It's like, I guess, they probably, like, they don't have it in them to, put up with that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? And so, don't allow, fear to stop you from being with the person that God wants you to be with, right? It says in the word of God that we are made in the likeness and the image of God. And we are of one blood, the human race, at the end of the day. And check this out. God's ways are not our ways, like it says in the word of God. His thoughts are not our thoughts, right? So hear me when I say this. God is strategic. So even if we don't understand it, God knows what he's doing. It's been times where, you feel me, I go to God and I just looking at him, just praying out, crying out to him, like, God, like, like, what are you doing? Just for me to find out later in life what he was doing the whole time. But yeah, let's get back into it. So like I said, it's a lot of y'all that's waiting on y'all kingdom spouse for God to send y'all God ordained spouse. This is one of the things that I truly believe, because it's a renewing of your mind, you know what I'm saying? Not just for one person, but for two. You have to take everything into consideration. You know what I'm saying? What if the person that God has for you is everything that you want in a husband or a wife, but you don't give this person a time of day. You don't even give them a chance to show you that they are exactly what you've been praying for, that they are exactly who you've been praying for this whole time. And that's why I say, like, I've encountered all different kind of races, and that's that one common thing that a lot of different races have in common, is that when it comes to talking about the opposite, race, even the fact that I'm in Houston right now, it's like, me discerning like spiritual things. I feel like that's one of the key things that I be seeing with a lot of, men and women. You know what I'm saying? So for a lot of y'all women and men that steady asking God, like, where my kingdom spouse at and stuff like that. So a lot of y'all got to renew y'all mind to a lot of things, because you don't know who God is placing you with. You know what I'm saying? You don't know who he placing you with. You feel me? God could be trying to place you with somebody that's of a different race for his reason alone. You know what I'm saying? Because I know, and that's what I'm saying. Even though I keep mentioning this, a lot of people would try to hit me with that, but race doesn't matter. We're a human race. We are. But stick with me though, right? Race, it does matter to an extent, because at the end of the day, everybody got different languages. Everybody got different cultures. Everybody was brought up different. And so I believe that God uses this in a way, you know what I'm saying, to create something really beautiful, right? So when you wondering like how God is going to, do this thing, and, he wants to do something like different in, your bloodline, and going down the line, right? He might try to use you to break some. It may take you to break something off or renew the minds of generations and that person's family that you with. You know what I'm saying? So think about that. You might be the person that God uses, right? Now, it could be anybody else, but God, like, let me use this person, right? And I want to place these two together for this reason, because like I said, we can't see and we don't know all what he's up to. And like I just stated, God is strategic. So when he doing something and we can't fully understand it, we just study questioning. But when it comes to this topic in general, like I said, hear me out when I say this. I know it may sound like a bunch of hoopla. I know, but that's something that I constantly see with a lot of people, is that they, you know, like they let society tell them who they are. They let their families tell them who they are and who they should be, and they let other people tell them who they should be with, who they should end up with, instead of, God himself. Yeah, so for a lot of y'all that's waiting on that spouse, man, just take this into consideration because I want to add this too, and I'm gonna be very transparent. I'm gonna be very blunt with y'all. Obviously, like I said, I'm from Chicago, whatnot. Cool. Okay. Um, Me and my sister and my brother, we all went to the same school. Let's get that understood, right? Because I have to say this. We all went to the same school in Chicago, in middle school anyway. Um, I was in an all black school. You feel me? I was in an all black school, and my mom, she helped to get me out of that school because it was a lot of fighting, and you know, so she took my sister out first. And then she decided that it was best that, because my brother had already graduated, I think around this time. So she was just more so focused on me and my sister. And so when she took my sister, and transferred her into, a school up north in Chicago, um, and it was, like I said, mixed school. But anyway, she transferred both of us. Now this is the first time, like I say, I've seen, a bunch of different races of people, because from you being like, I was just around like, you know, I was in the hood, I was in the trenches, like, you know what I'm saying? Like basically, or in the hood, more hood area, you know what I'm saying? And I kid you not, like, I believe that was even a blessing in disguise, at the same time, because I believe if I would have stayed in the same school that I was in, like on the south side of Chicago, where it was just, all black. And not only that, just the area that I was in, you feel me? And the people I was around, it would have never forced me to, you feel me? Like, it would have never expanded my mind. You see what I'm saying? So it just takes for people to, come together with different races for them to be able to understand things on a different, level. Because God isn't one race, He isn't one color, or, He's, I don't know if that makes sense, but I hope that makes sense. God is spirit, and God is the spirit, and we must worship Him in spirit and truth. But yeah. Yeah, and that may take y'all, getting uncomfortable. You may have to, you feel me, sit down at a table, full of people that might not be the same race as you. You feel me? You might have to, and you got to be comfortable doing those things because, like I say, you don't know who God is, putting you together with, and so you just want to make sure that your mind is renewed in that area. If you have like racism in your heart, and you know what I'm saying, or bitterness towards another race, just to find out later on, whole time your husband or your wife, they was, of a different descent, or that certain descent that you had hatred in your heart for, you see how it becomes a clash, right? So that's what I mean. You know what I'm saying? But it ain't for everybody. This ain't for everybody. It's just, if you feel like God is calling you to be married, and, you know, if you have maybe a hint, because I ain't even gonna go too much in detail, but if you have a hint, like maybe your spouse may not be, you feel me, the same race as you feel me, or same ethnicity, you feel me. And that's only, like I say, because at the end of the day, God gonna use that for His purpose, you know what I'm saying? Just like how I said, He gonna use that for His whole reason of Him putting you two together in the first place. It's gonna all make sense. It ain't just because, he black, or you black, and he Puerto Rican, or you Asian, and she white, you know what I'm saying? Like, it ain't, you feel me? If that makes sense, like, He gonna do it for His reason and alone. And that's why I say most of the time too, when you see different cultures get together, it's a culture shock, right? It's a culture clash, like, you learn stuff that from a different culture you ain't never learned before, right? So that's what I'm saying. That's just something to keep in mind, man. And I've been wanting to drop this video for a minute, but just been second guessing it. So hopefully, and I'm willing to talk about these things on my live streams. That's why I try to go live with y'all whenever I had a chance to. You feel me? But we can discuss this even more. But this is one of the biggest things I see. Just looking back and observing and just discerning in the spirit. That's what it seems like to me. I feel like what is also holding up a lot of kingdom marriages, because people have different viewpoints on things, and they probably thinking that their husband and wife should look like this, when in fact it may not be that. So it's like trying to get people mindsets in the right direction, you know what I'm saying? Or help them to better prepare for it. Like really try to learn from different cultures and ethnicities while you have the time. So, when it comes time, you are prepared to know how to handle the blessing, you know what I'm saying? So if I'm around a bunch of, you feel me, um, people that's not the same race as me, you feel me, um, it won't really, shock me or throw me off or whatever, because I'm comfortable now with it. You know what I'm saying? It don't phase me, and I know how to carry myself. So, but yeah, y'all stay tuned for the next video. Make sure y'all like, share, subscribe, man. It do much to this channel to keep it going. So, see y'all on the next one.